In the shadow of ancient Agrigento, where the Mediterranean winds still whisper tales of terror, there once stood a monument to human cruelty, so ingenious it transformed screams into music. This is the story of Phalaris, the tyrant who turned torture into art, who carved the legacy of darkness into history's memory. The year was 570 BC, and Sicily was a land of contradictions, a place where Greek philosophy flourished alongside barbaric displays of power. Phalaris, the newly risen tyrant of Acragas, understood something fundamental about human nature. Fear requires imagination to truly take root. Simple brutality wasn't enough. Terror needed to be elevated to an art form. Enter Phalaris of Athens, a craftsman whose genius would become his undoing. He approached Phalaris with an invention that would marry technical brilliance with unspeakable cruelty, the brazen bull. This hollow bronze statue was more than a mere instrument of death. It was a sophisticated acoustic chamber designed to transform human agony into musical notes. The bull's design was a masterpiece of calculated malevolence. Inside its hollow cavity, victims would be locked and roasted alive by fires lit beneath. But the true horror lay in its engineering, a complex system of tubes and stops that converted screams into sounds resembling a bull's bellowing. Pain became performance, suffering transformed into symphony. Phalaris's psychology reveals a man fascinated by the artistry of terror. Contemporary accounts paint him as neither a mindless brute nor a simple sadist, but something far more disturbing, an intellectual who approached cruelty with the methodical precision of a scientist. He understood that fear was most potent when it engaged the imagination, when it transformed the familiar into the grotesque. The first victim of the bull was its own creator. When Phalaris proudly demonstrated the acoustic properties of his creation, Phalaris ordered him to be placed inside. The craftsman's screams, we're told, emerged as perfect musical notes, a horrific proof of concept that sealed his fate. It was a characteristic move by Phalaris, who seemed to delight in ironic punishments. But what drives a man to such extremes of cruelty? Historical records suggest Phalaris was educated, cultured, even capable of acts of mercy. He corresponded with philosophers and patronized the arts. This contradiction between his refined tastes and brutal methods offers insight into the psychology of power and the nature of tyranny itself. The citizens of Acragas lived in a state of perpetual dread, never knowing when they might become the bull's next performer. Phalaris understood that witness cruelty was twice as effective. Those who heard the bull's musical bellowing would spread tales that grew more terrifying with each retelling. Fear became a self-propagating weapon. Archaeological evidence from the period reveals a city caught between prosperity and terror. Under Phalaris's rule, Acragas grew wealthy and powerful, its temples and public works rivaling those of mainland Greece. But beneath this golden age lay a foundation of bones and ashes, a reminder that civilization's achievements often rest upon unspeakable crimes. The psychological impact of the brazen bull extended far beyond its immediate victims. It became a symbol of power's ultimate corruption, a warning about the thin line between civilization and barbarism. Even today, the term Phalarist describes someone who takes aesthetic pleasure in cruelty. Contemporary sources recount how Phalaris would host elaborate banquets while the bull performed, creating a grotesque juxtaposition of refinement and brutality. He reportedly spoke of the bull's music as though discussing a conventional instrument, revealing a mind that had transcended normal moral boundaries. Yet Phalaris was not without his defenders. Letters attributed to him, though likely forged in later centuries, present a ruler who saw himself as a necessary evil, a harsh gardener pruning society's worst elements. This self-justification is common among tyrants, but Phalaris elevated it to philosophy. The bull's influence extended far beyond its time. It appears in medieval texts, Renaissance art, and modern literature as a symbol of power's capacity for creative cruelty. Its legacy raises uncomfortable questions about the relationship between technological innovation and human suffering. Phalaris's reign ended as violently as it had preceded. After 16 years of terror, the people of Acragus rose up. According to tradition, the tyrant's last moments were spent inside his own instrument of torture, a finale that historical evidence suggests may actually be true. The brazen bull itself vanished into history, though replicas and descriptions ensured its immortality as a symbol of tyranny's marriage with human ingenuity. Some accounts claim the Carthaginians took it when they sacked Acragus in 406 BC, while others suggest the citizens destroyed it after Phalaris's fall. What makes the story of Phalaris particularly relevant today is not just its horror, but its sophistication. The brazen bull represents more than mere cruelty. It stands as a testament to how human creativity can serve the darkest impulses of power. It reminds us that civilization's greatest achievements often walk hand in hand with its capacity for atrocity. The ruins of ancient Acragus still stand, drawing tourists who admire its Greek temples and Roman villas. Few realize they walk grounds where the screams of the dying once provided musical entertainment for a tyrant's feast. The wind that blows through the valley still carries echoes of those ancient horrors. The Mediterranean sun still sets over Agrigento's ruins, casting shadows that seem to move like phantom bulls across ancient stones. And in those shadows lurks a truth as relevant now as it was 2.5 millennia ago. Genius without compassion is merely another form of monstrosity. They say on certain nights, when the wind blows just right through the Valley of Temples, you can still hear a sound like distant music, a reminder that every civilization carries within it the seeds of its own brazen bull, waiting only for the right combination of ingenuity and cruelty to give it voice.